What's going on, guys? It's your boy Nistro here, and the new Synchron stuff, a lot of people have felt that it was underwhelming and that it didn't contribute a lot to the Synchron deck, and initially I agreed. I thought that it also had very little to offer and that it was not very interesting, but the more that I tried it out, the more I thought, okay, there may be some new lines or some new way to play the deck now with these new cards. Few benefits being the ability to play more non-engine in the deck and still get to junk speeder, the ability to make a 1-card junk speeder, because previously you needed to usually have like 2+ cards to make junk speeder easy. Usually you needed something in the form of junk connector, something in the form of adventure, Rite of Aramasir plus Rev Synchron. Even though that was both a Baron and junk speeder, point still stands. It was very tough to get junk speeder off of a single card. Now, I think the reason why this support is so simple is because there's already so many options in the Synchro package that they didn't want to overtune it. They wanted to keep it simple, they wanted to keep it tight, and I think that's almost what they've achieved. We're going to talk through some of the flaws at the end. For right now, this is the new way to play Synchron post Power Fellow Starter Deck 2025.
Let's rock!
So going through some of the new lines, we have a new 1-card line off of just Stardust Synchron by itself. Now, I didn't come up with this particular combo, or I didn't find out that Stardust Synchron was a 1-card combo by myself. You can thank that to 037 Wolf. He mentioned that in one of his videos, and he's been covering Synchrons pretty extensively. Now, this video will differ from his because my video is going to have a bunch of different end boards compared to his. He usually goes for Majestic, Stardust, the new one from Dawn of Majesty. He goes for a Jurashin, which I do put that in some end boards, but not all of them. And he also goes for Cyframe Omega, which I do not go for. I'm going to take a different approach to the deck, and I think the deck will still work out this way. Starting off, I'm just gonna commentate as the combo goes along. So Stardust Synchron searches a new spell card, and the new spell card pretty much you search this new Sonic Chick and it'll trigger. So all in one effect, it adds both Junk Synchron and the Sonic Chick, and then it discards the Junk Synchron. That'll trigger the Sonic Chick to special summon itself, and then you have 4+1, which will be your Junk Speeder, to then get you into your full line. Now, it gets to reduce the level of a Synchro by 1 to give you an extra normal summon. In this case, that's only going to be used for level manipulation. We did it this way so that we can get rid of Assault Synchron, because Assault Synchron can only trigger in Graveyard to resummon out the Axel Synchro Stardust. In this line, your non-tuners are your Synchros. None of your non-tuners are like regular monsters, because you won't have access to Stardust Trail through Stardust Illumination, because you had to use your search to get the starter spell instead of getting Stardust Illumination. And now Power Fellows is a starter spell by itself. You don't need to open Stardust Synchron to make Power Fellows a starter spell. I just wanted to show that Stardust Synchron itself is also a 1-card starter, which also helps because if your normal summon gets hit with something, then Stardust Synchron can help you play through an Imperm or Ash on your normal summon, tribute that normal summon monster, special summon this, and then now you have full combo even through 1 interruption. So Stardust Synchron is going to be a really good card. We went through Crimson Dragon, we went through XL Synchro, and essentially with just Stardust Synchron, you're left with Crimson Dragon, at least 1 other Synchro monster, and I decided to go into Snake Eyes Vengeance, because Vengeance is a level 12 that's A, easy as fuck to summon. There's really no strict summoning condition on it, and B, it has 2 decent removal effects. So, because Blazar is the real prize, but Vengeance is also pretty good as well. And Vengeance puts a monster in spell and trap zone once every other turn, the same way that Mirror Jade is only once every other turn. But during the battle phase, it can pop a monster and a continuous spell. So that monster that you initially put into the continuous spell, you can use that as leverage to pop another monster during battle phase. So he can really clear 2 bodies. And then Blazar, right, Omni it can negate summons, or it can negate attacks and the battle phase. And because you went through Crimson Dragon, you end with Synchro Rumble, so you can either save the Synchro Rumble for follow-up, or you can use it to bring back Stardust Dragon, which was properly treated as Synchro Summon since it was summoned off of Axel Synchro Stardust effect. And you can use that as an interruption as well if you feel like it. You don't have to. Also, it gets summoned in defense mode, so it naturally plays through Lightning Storm. You don't have to use it if they activate Lightning Storm, although you probably will, to protect your Vengeance Dragon, because Blaze Arc could just banish itself if anything, but you'd probably do it to protect Vengeance Dragon. So decent into board breakers. So this is just the 1 card line. So now we're going to go over the new spell card, right? So it adds Junk Synchron and a monster that mentions Junk Warrior or Stardust Dragon, which is very specific. There are not a lot of cards in the game that mention Junk Warrior and / or Stardust Dragon. It's really just Stardust Synchron and the cards that you see on the artwork. So the new Speed Warrior, the new Sonic Chick, the new Quillbolt Hedgehog named Anchorbolt, and one more new monster, as well as 2 old monsters that mentioned Stardust, but they're not that good. So essentially, this Anchorbolt Hedgehog, if you control Junk Warrior or a monster that mentions it, it gets to special summon itself from graveyard as a quick effect. And you're like, why is that? Why not just play the OG Quillbolt Hedgehog at that point? Well, the OG Quillbolt Hedgehog is not searchable, A, and B, this one doesn't banish itself after it's sent to graveyard. You can bring this back once a turn every turn, but it won't get banished by using its own effect. So it's a consistent resource in case you get stopped or something and you need some follow-up. Boom, Anchorbolt. So we can use that plus Junk Synchron. So this searches Junk Synchron plus another, and then you discard 1 card after. So you don't really go +1. You search 2, drop 1 instead of drop 1, search 2, where you go -2 if they Ash Blossom this. You don't go -2 if they Ash Blossom Synchro Fellows. So I think that's pretty cool. Normal summon the Junk, special summon out the Anchorbolt. And now, because of this new Scrap Synchron that mentions Junk Warrior, we now have a target that gives us the ability to revive Anchorbolt from graveyard at any point during our turn. Now we're not gonna. It's kind of stupid that it doesn't summon itself back when you control Junk Synchron, because A, they didn't make a retrain of Junk Synchron. They made a retrain of like some of Yusei's best monsters: Speed Warrior, Sonic Chick, Quillbolt Hedgehog. Even Junk Warrior got a retrain, but Junk Synchron is the same monster. And you could argue that Scrap Synchron is the Junk Synchron retrain because it counts as any Synchron tuner, and it can be used in hand for a Synchro Summon, kind of like the micro coders from the Cyber stack. The issue is this card's level 1, A, and B, it just doesn't do anything else. That's the issue. So now Stardust Synchron can grab Illumination. Now we could go Axel Synchro. And you're going to notice that this is a pattern. Like once you go for your Junk Speeder, Axel Synchro is usually going to be the first thing that you go for, because you want to use the Assault Synchron to get you as many non-tuners as possible, and also because Illumination to be able to summon out Stardust Trail from deck. So I summon out Stardust Trail, I immediately go for the Vanadium Trisk, right? Because she can do tricks on it, but also because she's the easiest bridge into a protection from board breakers, right? So she brings back Assault Synchron, and those can go for visas. Now, we did it this way because we just need Assault Synchron in graveyard to trigger when we activate the second effect of Axel Synchro Stardust Dragon. So the on summon effect of Axel Synchro is not important in this deck for most of the lines. If you have a Stardust Synchron or something in graveyard, or a Scrap Synchron in graveyard, excuse me, then yeah, that's fine. But don't try to force that on summon effect. Instead, worry about getting that second effect off and having Assault Synchron in grave, so you have 2 viable non-tuner targets to be able to Synchro Summon with. That's what's most important. We go into Visas, grab our Counter Trap, Axel Synchro, right? So that'll trigger both Crimson Dragon and Assault Synchron. Now, because we still have Scrap Synchron on field, Anchorbolt can summon itself back from graveyard. go into the new Scrap Warrior, and now Scrap Warrior on summon, it adds any card that mentions Junk Synchron, and you could either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. In this case, and this was made before the trap card came out in EDO Pro, but at this point you would search the new trap card, the Synchro one way, which would search you Effect Veiler. It's essentially, it's a double search, so it searches once, it goes to the graveyard, and then while it's in graveyard and you control a monster that mentions Junk Warrior, you can reset it back from the graveyard. So because Scrap Warrior mentions Junk Warrior, you can continue to use Synchro one way as long as you have it on field, but it's not necessary, because as you can see, we have this Synchro Rumble here, and we can keep going. So you can see that we have the Vengeance. We're going to go into our Blazar, and then Synchro Rumble is going to bring back the Vanadium Trisk, because it's a level 6 tuner, and Trail is a non-tuner dragon monster that allows us to make Dissipator, and then Dissipator can bring back our banished Trail for follow-up. Although in our extra deck, this follow-up might not matter much, but still. So I use it to go for Jurishin here. There's a lot of options, right? Like, for example, instead of tributing the Scrap Warrior when I had it on the field, I could have tributed the Visas instead, and then just went through the line like that, and went for something other than Jurishin. But I feel like Jurishin, it's an okay card. I don't like that it has to tribute itself to get its effects off, but otherwise it's a decent card, and you still have a decent amount of like play on board. Like you have like 2, 3, somewhat 4, because Dissipator, the negate effect requires your opponent to have a banished card, and none of your cards banish, unfortunately. But you do at least have the trap card to stop any board breakers, so it's a very resilient board at the very least, and I think that's a good thing. It will also be noted that because Visas is a level 8 tuner and Stardust Trail is level 4 non-tuner, you also have the option to make Crimson again if you were playing another Blazar. So you can make 2 Blazars in this deck if you wanted to. It's personal preference. But now we have the Fullspeed Warrior, and essentially on normal or special summon, this adds a Junk Synchron or a spell or trap that mentions it. Here's the issue. This card does not special summon itself. This is not some kind of speed word Terratop. You have to normal summon this, and on normal summon, he will add Junk Synchron or a spell and trap card that mentions Junk Warrior. Which means Fullspeed Warrior is really fucking redundant. And ironically, it's also our best way to start, because it gives us a layer of insulation before we get to the Junk Speeder, which is very funny, but I'm just gonna let Fullspeed do all the work here. So you grab the Synchro Fellows and you discard a card. Now you see I have two extra discards in hand here to show off this line. So why would you discard the Scrap Synchron? It's like, no, I'm not discarding Scrap Synchron for Synchro Fellows. For that, I discarded Fullspeed. What instead I'm doing is I'm using Scrap Synchron and our Fullspeed Warrior to make the Scrap Warrior. Scrap Warrior is going to be able to mill at this point the Anchor Bolt, because Anchor Bolt would be useless in hand, but we get to mill it here. And because we're milling it here, Synchro Fellows, now that we have a Synchro on field, we can banish it, get an extra normal summon. This is really only relevant in the lines that you start with Fullspeed Warrior. Usually you're not going to get the full extent of the Synchro Fellows extra normal summon unless you're opening multiple Junk Synchron, or unless you're opening Fullspeed Warrior. So now we get to use Junk Synchron, and we're, instead of bringing back just another level 2 monster, we're going to bring back the Scrap Synchron, and we're going to bring back Anchor Bolt. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go for Starham. Starham gets to drop 1, revive one of the monsters that it used for its Synchro summon, and now we get to make Herald of the Arclight. So now we have protection for our Junk Speeder. And you said, Nistro, this is a lot of steps, and I'm like, I know, but this is all off of 1 Fullspeed Warrior. This is technically a 1 card combo. It just requires 2 discards. So it's a little risky, yes, but as you'll come to see, a lot of the cards in this deck can be discarded anyway, like Stardust Synchron can be discarded anyway. The Junk Warrior pieces like Anchor Bolt, the Sonic Chick, they can be discarded anyway. So there's a lot of discardable cards in this deck. So it's okay if you have to discard a card or two to combo off. So now we get to go Junk Speeder. And now we're just going to be playing with just 4 main monster zones. We're not going to be touching this Herald of the Arclight. We're not going to be milling from deck to graveyard because Illumination, we're going to control the Stardust, so it's going to summon from deck. And we're not going to be sending from hand to graveyard either. So Herald isn't really going to inhibit us from making any lines. And it's going to be part of our end board too, right? So if it's not used during our turn, it's going to be part of our end board. Now, as you can see, this time I bring back to scrap Synchron with Accel Synchro Stardust because it was convenient. I didn't have to, or actually in this line I did, but I did it because it was there already. I didn't like preemptively set up scrap Synchron. Scrap Synchron was already used for something else, and I just got the extra value off of Accel Synchro. So now we're going to do Vanadium Trisk to do tricks on it. Visas. Grab our counter trap, Accel Synchro. Now you can see here, it's like the space is kind of tight. How are we gonna sequence this? Well, thankfully, because of the Synchro Summon also clears an extra main monster zone, Assault Synchron will be able to bring back our Accel Synchro with no problem. Synchro Rumble, now start a Synchron affecting graveyard, tribute scrap Synchron. Again, you could also tribute Visas here if you wanted to. You don't really need Visas on the end board, but it's good to have. Now Trail's going to trigger. And then we're going to use the Synchron and the Accel Synchro to make the Snake Eyes Vengeance. Crimson's going to get us Blazar. Now we have 2 Omni Negates. We're going to get some tricks on it. We're going to go for Dissipator again. And Dissipator's going to go for Trail. This time we're going to use Illumination, you know, to lower its level by 1. As we saw last time, and we can go for Jurishin. Again, if you want to just go for a second Cosmic Blazar, you can do that. You can easily just make Crimson here again, and then wait till your opponent's turn and make another Blazar. Easy as that, right? So we made a layer of protection before we went for the Junk Speeder, so now we know that the Junk Speeder is going to resolve. Unless they have like Imperm Ash. But even if they do have Imperm Ash, they have to use the Ash Blossom first. So just to showcase what I was talking about before, what if the Fullspeed gets Effect Bailered or Impermed or Ash Blossomed or something, right? That's what Stardust Synchron's for. It's going to be the exact same line as you guys saw before. You can mix up some of the end board pieces, like you can see here that we had to do a little differently because we always want Assault Synchron in graveyard, and I didn't want to use the Synchro Fellows just yet because in this line, Stardust Synchron cannot tribute to bring itself back, so you don't want to use it preemptively. You only want to use it when you have to. So we had to go through Dawn Dragster. So yeah, and that's just a little food for thought too, right? You can put Dawn Dragster in your end board if you feel like you need more spell and trap protection. I just don't think Dawn Dragster is strong by itself because it's, you know, it's not that big in terms of stats, and it's only spells and trap and interruption. So yeah, as you can see, we had to do a little weird here, right? Because we no longer had a level 4 tuner, we had a level 1 tuner and a level 3 tuner. So we used our level 1 tuner to get us into the Croco Dragon Archithus to get us to draw a card because we used 1 non-tuner, and then we used the 3 and the 9 to make the 12. Now the 12 will make our Blazar, and then this board must look very familiar because it is just to start a Synchron board, except our opponent has 1 less card in hand because they used an Imperm or something. So now I'm going to share what I think is the best line that this deck has. I don't even think 37 Wolf thought this far ahead, but essentially the ability to use Assault Synchron skips so many steps in summoning the Herald that you're actually able to play through Nib. And if you open Synchro Fellows in this line, Like if you open like Fullspeed, Assault, and Synchro Fellows, then you play through Droll as well. You just need to open Synchro Fellows, and you can play through Droll and Lockbird. But yeah, let's just assume that I'm only worried about Nibiru here. Then playing Assault Synchron at multiple copies allows me to get easy access to Herald of the Arclight. And we know Assault Synchron's very searchable. On your market set dual, tuning, and 3 copies of itself can be a total of 9 copies. And Fullspeed gets a Synchro Fellows and 3 of itself, 1 Rhoda, 7 copies of Fullspeed Warrior, which means that it's kind of likely that you can get a hand of these 2 cards together. Which may not play through Droll every time, but it will be very good at playing through everything else. Now, just be really careful with Synchro Fellows once you have Herald on field, if you resolve it after Herald, because the card that you discard will have to get banished instead of being sent to the graveyard if it's a monster. So just be wary of that. So now Synchro Fellows gives us that extra normal summon. We drop Herald's level by 1 and we get to normal summon out Junk Synchron, revive our Fullspeed, go to Junk Speeder. Junk Speeder is going to summon out our tuners. We're not going to use the Sonic Chick yet because we don't need to. Starter Synchron's going to get Illumination, straight into Axel. Illumination's going to get us into Trail so we can start doing tricks on it with the Triss. Go for Assault Synchron again, Visas. And it's probably going to be the same end board that you've seen before. I don't think I'd do anything different here. Yep, Trail. Vengeance is mine. Blazar. Rumble for Trisk. Dissipator, bring back Trail. Illumination lower by 1. Juration, set, and then that'll be it. Again, you can really freestyle your end board based on what end pieces you think are best, but these are the end pieces that I like the most because, you know, this board protects Herald from battle. We have at least 1 Omni-Negate on top of Herald, so we don't have to be forced to use Herald. We can keep its Floodgate effect in effect for longer. We have multiple cards that can remove bodies from field, like Dissipator, Vengeance, Duration. So this kind of just forces them, like if their deck doesn't play well into Herald's Floodgate effect, it's going to be very difficult for them to play into this board. What if we wanted to take this 1 step further beyond? What if we weren't satisfied with this end board for whatever reason, and you wanted to just go a little further, like push the deck a little further with what it could do? Well, I do have something for you. This won't be available on release day of the starter decks, or the whatever the product is called in TCG, but it is going to be an alternative way to play the deck, I think, in my opinion. And you can see us using the Wheel Synchron here. Now, Wheel Synchron can be played in the deck without needing to be, without any real sauce, because it's easily summonable off of Junk Speeder. It's, if you open it, you can discard it for something like Synchro Fellows. Won't be a big deal. And then if it gets on field, it gives you an extra normal summon, which means you get an extra Junk Synchron, and it can manipulate levels of Synchros in the graveyard, and it can be counted as a non-tuner. This may be the easiest way to get the new Junk Warrior Synchro on the field. As you've seen, we haven't used it in a single combo because it doesn't do anything. It just doesn't. It's just not a good card. So because Wheel Synchron exists, we can have easier access to it in case you want to use it, but you don't have to. So here we go. The Killer Tune Loudness War. And I was trying to figure out a way to implement Killer Tune into this archetype without overdoing it. And I think I found what I think is the most efficient way to play Killer Tune in this deck. So using Jet Synchron plus Junk Speeder here to make our Vanadium Trisk is going to be able to allow us to search a Junk Synchron. But I think Loudness War here is really good because the Killer Tunes allow you to use 2 tuners. So if Junk Speed is your only non-tuner on field that you can use, right, other than Herald, if Junk Speeder is the only non-tuner and you don't want to preemptively use your Junk Speeder for something, you can get rid of your tuners into something like Loudness War. And even though it's another tuner, if you level manipulate it, it can make some of the better cards in the Killer Tune engine. So case in point, right, we're going to use Vanadium Triss hidden effect here. And that her hidden effect is that she can turn any number of tuners you control into level 2 monsters. So because of that, we can level manipulate the Loudness War to be able to be extended into more Synchros. So now we can make the Killer Tune Track Maker. And now Track Maker allows us to grab any Killer Tune card from deck. And that will grab us the new Killer Tune field spell, which is the Juke Joint. And it has two really cool effects. A is that you can normal summon a tuner in addition to your normal summon, which is great. And then B is tribute a tuner, summon any Killer Tune monster from deck. But after you do that, you're locked into only summoning tuners, right? All the Killer Tune monsters are tuners, even the Synchros. So that's not a really restricting condition as long as we make our end board first, leave at least one tuner on field, tribute, and then go into the Killer Tune stuff. That's how we're going to do it. And even if you open this without opening the Killer Tune stuff, getting an extra normal summon for a tuner on top of the Synchro fellows is like kind of great. So now, and that's on top of Wheel Synchron, which talking about normal summons, we're just using Wheel Synchron's effect to get an extra normal summon of Junk Synchron. Go for full speed. Now we get to go for Rhesus. Wheel Synchron's going to manipulate its level by 2. That's going to make it a level 6 and allow us to go into Axel Synchro Stardust. Synchro Stardust, bring back Assault Synchron. Illumination, bring out Trail. Stardust Synchron, tribute Assault Synchron to get it in the graveyard. And again, we're going to use Axel Synchro effect to get Crimson. Assault Synchron's going to trigger. Put the original Axel Synchro back on field. Manipulate its level to go down to level 7 thanks to Illumination. Now we have Dissipator. Now we get to go Synchro Rumble. This time we're going to bring back our level 8 so we can go for level 12. And now we can make our second Omni-Negate in Blazar. Now this may seem kind of crazy. It's like you did all that work to make this Track Maker. Why are you tributing off the bat? And the answer is so that I can make the Killer Tune Rico. And now Rico on summon can add a Killer Tune from deck to hand, except a monster of its same level. So it can't add a level 3, but it can add one of the 2 level 2 monsters. And we're going to add the Killer Tune Clip, right? And Clip is probably the weakest Killer Tune main deck monster, because the other 3, besides Clip, they all on summon access another Killer Tune monster. So this one searches, there's a level 2 one that searches, and there's another level 3 one that tour guides any tuner from deck. But all of them lock you into tuners. Well, not all of them. I believe the one that tour guides locks you into tuners. But still, now you have a level 2 tuner in hand, a level 3 tuner on field, and when you use the Killer Tunes for a Synchro, you can use them from hand as well. So you don't just have to use, so you don't have to find a way to summon out this Killer Tune Clip. You don't have to use your extra normal summon. You can, but you don't have to. Clip can just be normal summoned and then used, or it can be used from hand for a Synchro summon. Which in this case, I shouldn't have done, because Herald was on field. I should have used extra normal summon to make this guy, to normal summon this guy, and then make the level 5 Synchro. Because when he's used for a Synchro summon, you banish a random face down card from your opponent's extra deck. Assuming it's not magically 23 cards, right? You can use this every single turn, because Killer Tunes have cards that can Synchro during your opponent's turn, to slowly whittle away some of your opponent's resources from their extra deck randomly and potentially hit them where it hurts. So most of them, like this, like Rico, when she's used for a Synchro summon, pops a spell or trap they control. Track Maker bounces a card from your opponent's field back to hand. So they all have different effects when they're used for Synchro summons. But Clip is the only one that like touches the extra deck and then forces them to lose a resource from extra deck from it. So this is like the best one going first. And it also has a quick effect to special summon itself and then synchro summon a tuner. Now, the monster that we summoned, the Killer Tune Red Seal, is very strong because it's going to gain 300 for each tuner in our graveyard, and we just went through an entire Synchron combo, so it's going to be pretty fat once I press play. But also, it gets to banish any tuner and then basically hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, negate a face-up card your opponent controls until the end of the turn. So it's another way to dodge interruption. If you had like some sort of trap card or some sort of like quick effect that wasn't a monster, Speed Spell 2 that wasn't a monster, then you can respond to things like Dark Ruler, chain the Killer Tune Red Seal, even if you didn't have the reframe, right? So this can make the Vanadium stuff redundant, and you can save that extra deck space if you wanted to. So still, that's still a lot of interruptions, right? So we basically, by playing the Killer Tune stuff, we trade Jurishin for a card like this, which I think is way more, which gives us a lot better of a end board, because now it's like we have 3 cards that can somewhat omni negate, you could say, or 4 cards actually that can omni negate. And now for our final display, as you can see, we're doing the Killer Tune variant of the combo again. This time, we're finally going to implement a very particular card that you guys might have been waiting for this entire time. So we're gonna go for the Vengeance, go for Blazar, Dissipator, bring back the Wheel Synchron. And now we can go for the Junk Warrior Extreme. This being said, you don't have to make this line. And it's like, wait a minute, this Scrap Synchron's sitting in hand. What's it gonna do? Scrap Warrior. Whoa, we have the Junk Warrior Extreme and the Scrap Warrior, and the Scrap Warrior can grab the new trap card, right? Because this trap card is supposed to be follow-up. What I wanted to do, or what I had here, right? So I had Junk Warrior plus Wheel Synchron, and I went for Junk Warrior Extreme to summon out the Fullspeed Warrior from Graveyard. What I should have did is I should have tributed one of my tuners, or even make Junk Warrior Extreme tribute one tuner that I bring back off of Junk Warrior Extreme, and then go for the Rico again. Rico can add the Clip, and then Clip would be able to, on my opponent's turn, special summon it, because Junk Warrior Extreme locks you out of special summoning for, you can only special summon once for the rest of the turn after using its effect. So if I would have tributed with Juke Joint to summon out from deck, then I would have been locked out of summoning another Synchro for the turn, but I could have summoned it during my opponent's turn anyway. That being said, instead you can search a new trap card, Synchro One Way, or you can search follow-up Synchro Fellows. Choice is yours. But I wanted to at least show one combo with the new Junk Warrior Extreme before we finish the video off. So this is the list. As you can see, I wanted to, because the meta is going to be different by the time this stuff comes out, I didn't want to have it too strict of a list, but I wanted to show that this is the list pre Killer Tune support. You have 12 one-card starters, you could say, quote, one-card starters with an asterisk. That's 85% in a 40-card deck. You can increase that number up to 13, up to 16 if you wanted to, and then you can have hyper consistency, because even at 14 in a 40 card deck, you're at 90%. And then or you can take these out and then you can play 2 more non-engine slots. Something else that I've noticed is you go through both Junk Synchrons in the combo, and so literally off of Junk Speeder, it doesn't matter what monster you summon, you can just play a level 3 monster. You can just play Rev Synchron over, like, let's say Ready Set Duel, on your market set duel, excuse me. And so that'll, instead of summoning Junk Synchron off of Junk Speeder, you can just summon out Rev Synchron off of Junk Speeder, and you can get the exact same combo, because you never use Junk Speeder for anything other than the fact it's a level 3 tuner in the Junk Speeder line. Issue I have with this is that Rev Synchron is not a good card in this deck. It's not like Adventure Synchron where you'll have level 4 monsters just sitting on casually. As you can see, we're not even playing a proper target that we can summon with it, because it's just so unlikely that we're gonna be able to draw this, and like Trail and /or Wheel Synchron would be our only targets for Rev Synchron, and we're not even Wheel, right? Now, if you wanted to play Wheel and you wanted to play, so this is the new trap card that I was talking about, right? So it searches a level 1 tuner from deck to hand, which means it can search Effect Veiler. And I know this is, I guess something I should have mentioned, right? You can't resolve Veiler under Herald of the Arclight. Obviously, Herald of the Arclight is an Omnigate that removes itself from field, so you'd use the Herald of the Arclight for resolving the Effect Veiler. That being said, if you prefer the Visas line, you can keep in the Reef. If you don't want to play Visas, because you really don't have to, to play Visas, you can take Visas out and take the reframing out and just play something like Synchro one way, or you can play more non-engine and then save yourself 2 more slots in extra deck for cards, for other Synchro options, Shooting Majestic Star. 037 Wolf likes that one. Shenshin has the ability to revive itself from graveyard, on top of being a macro. That is good for going for game. I don't think Metal Marcher is really good in this deck, in my opinion. I also don't think like quick synchroing is the way that this deck wants to go, because there's really no good targets formula. It's also like too hard to make formula in this deck. Like your level 1 non-tuners are very sparse. It's literally only Sonic Chick, so it's just like not gonna happen. And Junk Warrior is like no shot. I do think it is funny if your Junk Speeder gets interrupted, it says to turn you active. That should be part of the effect. I think, actually, I have to check. If Junk Speeder gets negated, you should be able to make monsters. So if that's the case, then you have a way to continue playing this turn, which is funny, right? Like, imagine actually being able to resolve Junk during the year of our Lord 2025. Like, that's wild. I thought about righty and lefty driver when I first saw Scrap Synchron. I just thought, these cards aren't bad. It's just they're not Synchrons. They don't mention Junk Warrior, so I can't search them off of tuning. I can't do anything with it, really. Like, other than just normal summon righty driver, I can't do anything with these cards. Now, if lefty was a level 1 monster, I feel like this could be kind of cool, because then it's like making Herald would be a lot easier. I mean, even so, it's like, yeah, like normal summon righty, special summon lefty is a way to make Herald if you open righty plus Synchro Fellows, but because this card can't be searched, I can't rely on that. This card is a starter that gets you into Scrap Warrior and nothing else. That's the only real way that this card really works, fortunately. I don't think that is what the deck needs. Now, the deck does need non-tuners, and I think Gadget Box could fill that role. It just once per turn summons out a level 1 token that while it's on the field you can only super summon, but that's not an issue for this deck. So I think this could be a cool card. And then Synchro Overtake. I stopped using this card because I'm not playing Junk Warrior Extreme, so I actually cannot resolve this card's effect. I'm not playing Jet Warrior, and there's no card that mentions Assault Synchron or Stardust Synchron. So actually, I have no targets. So this card I don't think is really good in the deck. I mean, other than Scrap Synchron, I guess, actually. Yeah, Scrap Synchron would be my only target this. And often level 1 tuners is not the tuner that I am missing. Usually my tuners need like 3 or 4, on top of 4 or 5. So yeah, I don't think this is the card for this deck. But yeah, I mean, you can play your Synchro one way if you want. You can play your Junk Warrior Extreme if you want. You can play Crystal Wing if you want. Although this would probably require us to make Wheel Synchron, so you can turn the Junk Speeder plus a level 3 into Crystal Wing, and then turn or you might have to level manipulate to make that Crystal Wing, and then you can turn Wheel Synchron if you want to play it, plus Junk or Rev to Stardust Excel or Excel Synchro Stardust, and then go hard. So yeah, this is the new Synchron deck. I really like the way that it's been going forward from this point. point, and I'm not sure if it's meta viable, but non-engine space seems good. One card combo line seemed decent. I do wish this deck had like at least a Junk Warrior, Junk Synchron retrain, excuse me, because a Junk Synchron retrain would have probably made this deck like okay to like good. I feel like a Junk Synchron retrain is what this deck really needed, and it didn't get it, which is unfortunate. But as it is now, I don't hate it, and I think it is slightly better than pure Synchron previously. I still think Adventure Synchron would still be a better way to play this deck if Baron was still around. I still think nothing beats Resolve Right at Aramesir, Normal Summon, Rev Synchron. I still think that's the best way that this deck play, but with this new support, it does streamline the deck in a way that gives you a lot more space and gives you a lot more viability and options as to how you can use your deck. So if you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comment section down below. Again, use code Nistro, Nistro, for 5% off your card trader order. Every little bit helps, all right? Saves you money and helps the channel, you know, supports the channel. You can also become a channel member. You get access to some cool emojis, some funny, I think they're funny, and you also get you know, special little graphics next to your name. You can also join the Ground Game Discord. You know, chill with me, a few others who just shoot the shit, talk shit about new cards, talk about tournament experiences, if that's your kind of thing. And yeah, if nothing else, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.